For 9 days, Bedfordview residents have been without water, with Rand Water's lack of communication leaving officials and communities frustrated. The issue reportedly started after maintenance work on infrastructure, but residents remain in the dark about when water will be restored. With no clear answers, many have been forced to rely on tankers, schools and community-driven efforts to access water. Thembi Msane is the Johannesburg Water and Sanitation MMC and joins us now to shed some light on current developments. MMC, thanks so much for your time. Why has Bedfordview been without water for something close on 10 days now?
Morning, Hugo, and morning to your viewers. Just a point of correction, it's MMC of Water and Sanitation in the city of Ekurhuleni, not Johannesburg. Well, we have faced a dire situation with the lack of water in the Bedfordview area going to day 10 today. And this is all due to a maintenance that was done by Rand Water last week. And when they were meant to restore the water on Friday, there was no restoration of water. However, they have been on site with our team from the city of Ekurhuleni assessing the situation. But the most frustrating thing about Rand Water is the lack of communication from their side in order for us to make sure that we better communicate also with the community of Bedfordview. There was water restored yesterday and last night. However, this morning the pressures also went low, and now currently the high-lying areas are not getting any water supply.
So I'd imagine that outside of the obligation to supply water to Ekurhuleni, there's also an obligation for them to communicate whenever there are challenges. What seems to be the hurdle there, MMC?
You are quite correct. I made an example to the MEC of Kokta in Gauteng when I was communicating with him on Friday with regards to the lack of communication by Rand Water, is to say that if Eskom is going to load shed, they know prior and they will inform us. If this is a technical issue which was experienced after their planned maintenance, which we don't have a problem with maintenance because we all support infrastructure upgrades and maintenance. The issue with Rand Water is them not wanting to be seen in a bad light by community for failing to provide a service. And we have built this relationship with Rand Water, telling them that we need to communicate better because this is a technical problem. It's not a problem that could have been foreseen, but it's a technical problem, but continuous communication and alerting our communities will make them better equipped and make them more relaxed and prepare themselves for what is about to come.
Do you feel held to ransom by Rand Water? Because it almost seems that there's very little that you can do to deal with the situation outside of them coming forward and explaining to you what's transpired, but more importantly, restoring water supply.
We do feel held at ransom apart from the fact that we are a paying customer, and it becomes such an inconvenience because right now we should be a team and communicate with each other they are the direct suppliers to the Bedfordview area. If they better communicate, it would assist us to make sure that our communities are aware of what is happening. So the only thing that we can do as a city now is to provide alternate ways of giving them water through water tankers, which we do not promote as the city of Ekurhuleni to provide water through water tanks because it increases our non-revenue water, which is something that we pride ourselves as the city of Ekurhuleni with our non-revenue water being the least in the province, sitting at about 28 to 29% compared to other metros. Hence, the MEC of Kokta made us the water champions in the province because we try our best to give our people services from their taps instead of providing water, which is providing water through tankers, which is quite inhumane.
You know, you talk about the inconvenience that arises from the lack of water. So yes, there is provision of water tankers, but just walk us through what some of the residents are going through as a result of the absence of water. I mean, there are individuals that have to go to school, their parents that need to tend for their children. There are obviously those that are living with various disabilities and may not be able to walk to these centres to collect water, never mind the businesses that are impacted by the absence of water in the area.
Yeah, it's very inconvenient, especially that area of Bedfordview, the high-lying areas. It houses a lot of elderly people. And now, if you don't know when is the water going to be restored, how much do you store when you get that little bit of water, and where do you store it? So the community of Bedfordview have done means to make sure that there's a team that circulates and goes and collect water, especially for the ones that are disabled and the ones that are elderly. But as a city, I must emphasize, this is not the best scenario. We pride ourselves with providing the best services to our communities because we pay for these services, and we would really appeal to Rand Water to better communicate and let us know what is the crisis.
So a few minutes ago, one of our reporters, Veronica Makhwadi, was on the ground in Bedfordview speaking to a councillor, and she also indicated that residents of Ekurhuleni, of Bedfordview in particular, demonstrated yesterday. So, you know, that's them taking the fight, if you will, to the doorstep of Rand Water. Let's talk about what you, as the MMC and your department, are doing to escalate this challenge, because I think it's gone beyond waiting for a response from Rand Water without actually creating some escalation in order to deal with the issue.
Yeah, like I've stated, we've escalated the matter to the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Thembi Msane's office, in order to alert her, because the water boards report to National. They do not report to us. We are just their customer who gets supplied bulk water, and then we make sure that we distribute it. So they don't have to account to us. The only relation is to account to us because we're a paying customer. So we've escalated the matter to the Water and Sanitation Minister, Thembi Msane.
When did you make the escalation, and have you had a response? When are you expecting a response if you haven't?
We made the escalation yesterday. We have not received a response yet, but we will be checking up with her.
So at what point does this become critical? Because water's not been available for about 10 days. So if you made a response yesterday, it means that it's 9 days after water supply had been cut off.
Well, the issue becomes critical when we are not getting a response, in order to know how long do we have to wait. Because once you put a restoration time, then at least you are aware that, okay, in 5 days, we're going to get our water back. The technical issue has been identified and it will be fixed. However, currently, we don't even know what is the technical issue, because Rand Water is trying to apply different methods in finding out where is the technical issue. Like I'm saying, the water was restored last night, and then this morning, the pressure that is meant to supply the city in Bedfordview was then reduced and it became low. So we're just trying to find what is the best way in making sure that the water is fully restored without interruptions.
Now, finally, MMC, as a diligent public servant, what are you doing to deal with similar situations in the future? I mean, how do you prevent this from happening 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now?
Since we took office in the city of Ekurhuleni Water and Sanitation, we discovered that the communication and the relationship between the city of Ekurhuleni and Rand Water was in a dire state. So what we did, we've been trying to build relations with Rand Water in better communicating, in having meetings every Wednesday with Rand Water, but our technical team meets with Rand Water every day, 8 o'clock in the morning, in order to make sure that we get answers, we get to know what is going to happen. Is there going to be a water shortage? Are we applying level 1 restrictions? Because as you may know, Rand Water supplies Johannesburg, Tshwane, and parts of Mpumalanga and ourselves. And Ekurhuleni is one of the most affected areas when there is a water shortage, because geographically, Ekurhuleni is high-lying than Johannesburg and Tshwane and Mpumalanga. So we met every day, 8 o'clock. What frustrates us as the city of Ekurhuleni is them not coming to the party and making sure that this crisis is addressed in a manner that it should. As I've highlighted, it is a technical problem. No one could have foreseen that this was going to happen, but let's better communicate. So we've been building the relationship with Rand Water in order to make sure that we don't get such interruptions and lack of communication, which frustrates our communities.
Right, that's where we leave that conversation. Thembi Msane is the Ekurhuleni Water and Sanitation MMC. Thank you for speaking to us, highlighting the frustration that not only residents, but also she as MMC and the department are facing as Rand Water goes 10 days thereabouts without supplying water to residents of Ekurhuleni.